Just past the midway point of the SportsMax zone for this Friday, and we are back to talk some cricket. The fifth and final T20 international between the world's top two ranked teams, India and England, is on this Saturday at the Narendra Modi Stadium in Ahmedabad, with action set to begin on SportsMax at 9:30 Eastern Caribbean time. That's 8:30 in Jamaica. A lot on the line here, as either way, India or England's unbeaten series streak is set to come to an end. Since England's last tour of India in 2018, they have gone on to win 7 and drawn 1 of their 8 series, while the Indians have won 6 and drawn 1 of their 7 series since losing to Australia back in 2019. Now, speaking after their agonizing 8-run loss in the 4th T20 this week, England's vice-captain Ben Stokes said the team will benefit from playing in a series decider as they prepare for the World Cup later this year.
In an ideal world, we would have loved to have gone into the next game, already won the series, but sounds weird saying that. We've got a positive out of losing is that, we go into the next game with a huge amount of pressure on our shoulders as a team, because whoever wins that game wins the series. So, that's great for us as a team, especially with the T20 World Cup coming up, because the more pressure situations we get put into as a team, the more that we'll benefit from it. As I answered the question before, the more pressure that we get put under as a team, the more that's going to do for us in that World Cup. Because World Cups can end very quickly. Every game is a big game. The more times that we get put under pressure, just hopefully they keep on coming.
Yeah, well, from day one, we had seen that this series would have been a humdinger, and I don't think it's entirely surprising that we are 2-2 now going into the final match of the series. India, with so much talent in there, set up both with white ball and red ball cricket. But George and Mariah, we have to say that England's game in the past decade has matured. We now have an England team with players with heart, determination, aggression even, and not resembling the England that we had known many years ago.
Definitely. Now, when we talk about England and India, we have to say two top teams, of course, in this competition. I think there's so much to play into the play in this T20, Lance and George. I think that India, of course, would want to make a couple of changes or not. They have a very, very strong team. England as well. Jofra Archer has been firing for him. The fans, which was something that was boosting India before, is no longer there because of a rise of COVID-19 cases in Gujarat. So I feel like it's anybody's game to take, and it's really who plays better on the day.
Yeah, well, we're still talking cricket now. Following the completion of the 2 white ball series, which the Caribbean side won, the West Indies and Sri Lanka will now turn their attention to the Test arena. The two will battle in the first Test at the Sir Vivian Richards Stadium in Antigua. That match starts on Sunday. Now, in the 2-day warm-up match, which ended on Thursday, the West Indies President's 11 and Sri Lanka played to a draw. Batting first, Sri Lanka were skittled out for 172 in their first innings, with Roston Chase taking 4 for 12. West Indies in their reply posted 294, with Shea Hope top scoring with 68. Kyle Mears chipped in with 57, and Chase got some action with the bat as well with 52. Sri Lanka in their second innings reached 56 without loss before time was called. There, the scores in the match: Sri Lanka 172 and 56 without loss. The West Indies 294. So following this fairly tame performance from the Sri Lankans in their practice match and the Caribbean side's triumph in the T20 and ODI series, are the West Indies entering this first Test as favourites? International cricket journalist Fazeer Mohammed joins us now to answer this question and more as we preview the first Test. Who are favourites here, Faz?
I think the West Indies are definitely favourites, Lance, which I don't think I've said very often in the recent past, certainly when it comes to Test matches. But you've given a lot of the reasons why. And add to that the fact that not just that the West Indies are on a roll from the success in Bangladesh, then onto the white ball series. Yes, we know it's going to be a different team with Karen Pollard not involved and so many of the other players not involved, but the same feeling will be there from the success in Bangladesh. Craig Brathwaite has been retained. He's been confirmed as captain. But add to that, Lance, Sri Lanka seem to be in such disarray. They've lost 11 of their last 12 matches across all formats. You're talking tests, one-dayers, T20s. Their last victory, apart from the win in the T20 match in Antigua, which leveled the series, their last victory was way back in March of last year against the West Indies in the one-day series, which they won 3-0 in Sri Lanka. They've seen their appointed bowling coach fall out with them. That's Chaminda Vas before the team left. They've seen their most experienced all-rounder return home. The batting hasn't fired at all. So it looks a very unsettled Sri Lankan team in stark contrast to a West Indies team that really I would sense are looking forward to turn the screws on Sri Lanka.
Faz, while looking at the practice match, I couldn't help but notice this. Shai Hope, continuing with his form, his 68. Roston Chase, of course, among the top performers. He got 4 for 12 with the ball, and of course with the bat, he was also he did really well. He got 52. Both names that I just mentioned, of course, not a part of the Windies test team. Should that be a cause for concern?
Well, it's not a cause for concern. It's a cause for feeling that there's now a greater level of competitiveness within the West Indies squad, because there was a time not so long ago when you felt that players took their selections for granted. Now you've got Shai Hope omitted after the tour of England because he's really had a poor run, as commanding as he looks in one-day international cricket, and quite correctly, man of the series in the ODIs, which ended on Sunday. He averages in the 20s in Test cricket, and clearly he is showing that hunger once again. He's getting among the runs. Hopefully his time will not be too far away, but you've got to reward those players who've delivered for the West Indies in Bangladesh. And some will argue, well, maybe Shai Hope should have been selected ahead of Darren Bravo. And that would seem to be a fair call when you look at the merits of both players at this time. But we'll have to wait and see. Bravo is under the microscope when you talk about going into this test match.
Faz, when we have test matches being lost and ODIs and T20s, it's easy to put some of the blame on the back of the coach and his coaching staff. And yet, when the teams are winning across all formats, you rarely hear people praise the coach and the coaching staff. So I'm asking you to say a word about what Phil Simmons has been able to do with Roddy Estwick and the company off the field with the team over the past few months that has given us this impetus and put us on a very, very good run across formats.
Yes, and let's hope it continues, because anything can happen when we talk about the West Indies, especially when it comes to Test cricket. But you're right, they are easy targets, because for many of us, the players are our favorites. We sympathize with them. So when things go wrong, it's the coach's fault, it's the selector's fault, it's the administrator's fault. Even if we acknowledge, maybe almost grudgingly, that the players might not be up to standard. Many fans do that anyway. But of course, when we win, it's all about the players. No credit whatsoever to the coaches. And I think that's why, and I'm glad that you pointed it out, George, even for someone as stern, as harsh as you are, to point out that the likes of Phil Simmons, Roddy Estwick, everyone involved with the squad needs to be given credit. And I think Simmons, what he brings to this West Indies team is a sense of, much as in the way I said about Kieron Pollard, have been there and done that. Simmons has been involved with West Indies cricket from his under-19 days to his playing days at senior level for a very long time, coaching almost everywhere in the world, now with the West Indies. I don't think he's fazed by too much. He's been involved with the West Indies when they were the greatest force in the history of the game. That's why he said in an interview during the one-dayers, he likes to win the old-fashioned way, winning easy, not the new way now, scrambling and so on. So I think he brings that measured perspective. You don't get the sense that he's shouting at anyone, that he's getting too carried away with the wins either. He understands that this is all part of a process, and whatever might be said off the field by media people, by myself and so many others, I doubt that makes any difference at all to his own focus. But he and all the other members of the squad and the technical staff certainly need to be given credit.
And finally, Fazeer, our test captain Craig Brathwaite has a supermarket trolley full of goodwill from the Bangladesh tour. Many people fall appraising him, some even tripping over themselves to lavish praise on Craig Brathwaite's captaincy. Does that fritter away? Is that supermarket trolley overturned if we lose this Sri Lanka series?
It might not even get out of the supermarket if that were to happen. The fact of the matter is that, look, West Indies and West Indies fans are like most fans anywhere else. On top of the world, when things go well, you're the greatest thing since sliced bread. And when things go wrong, Who selected you? Why were you there? That should have never been done. Jason Holder should have been retained as captain. I said so, I said so, I said so, even though people will pretend that they did. That's just the way it is. And the good thing about it is Craig Brathwaite has made it clear that he recognizes the role that Jason Holder has played in helping to take this team forward. Jason Holder may not get the credit in the end, but the fact that they enjoyed success even in his absence has something to do with what he's been able to help along the way. And yes, it might be the right time to replace him as captain because he looks jaded and all of that. But I don't get the sense that Craig Brathwaite is at all carried away. You never see him in that manner suggesting that he's carried away. I can't wait for the time when he gets a 100 because he might barely raise his bat. The way he conducts himself. But certainly he is that type of individual, very phlegmatic, very focused. And as I said, I don't think he'll be getting carried away one way or the other, but he knows he's under the microscope as well.
And the last one before we wrap Fazeer for the week. Jason Holder, the captaincy, not with him anymore. Do you see Jason Holder as a kind of cricketer that has a level to go to now that he can play unfettered, unburdened in Test cricket?
I think he does. And let's not pretend that he's not stung by being removed as captain. As much as he is someone who gives that impression that he's very much about the team and about how the West Indies cricket does well, it must hurt personally because you are still there. He's just 28 years of age, going on 29, and you've been replaced as Test captain, and you're now just back into the ranks. So yes, that will affect him, but it could be even greater motivation. He's right up there as far as Test cricket all-rounders. He's achieved a tremendous amount. His bowling, which was seen as mediocre and ordinary, has improved by leaps and bounds to the level that he's now an expected wicket taker. But he can step it up even further. I think there's a lot more potential in Jason Holder, even if he might harbor thoughts of returning to the Test captaincy. But as an individual player, I think he has a lot more to give.
Good job, Fazeer. Thank you very much as usual. Have a great weekend.
I'll try my best. Take care.
Good. That's it for that segment. We take a break. Back with more on the SportsMax Zone.